Hey. Welcome to the Eglinton West Pop-Up Podcast. I'm Dubs with Lars Clifton Joseph, and as usual, I have my man, the basketball Canadian legend, Michael Solomon, and tonight we have a special guest. He is the grand poobah of the legacy posters here in Toronto for the last 25 years plus. My man, right down there, you can see him, Robert Small. He's bigger than his name actually says. Robert, welcome to the Eglinton West Pop-Up Podcast, Old Heads Talking Basketball. What are you in terms of basketball and the Raptors, brother? What's your bona fide?
With my bona fide, it has to be Kyle Lowry. I have to stick by him, right? So I'm glad that he wasn't traded. But we got to stick with the Raptors no matter what, despite what happened tonight.
You sound like a fanboy.
Well, you know what? If we could have got something for Kyle Lowry, then I probably would have been open to it. But if we're not going to get nothing, and I think that they were trying to trade him several times. When they started saying that, when they were saying that, oh, he's injured, and I'm going, yeah, he's injured.
Remember when they tried to trade him to New York when we got all them cats from the Kings?
Yeah, that would have been an ugly decision if that happened for him, especially.
So of course, we didn't trade him. So what did you think of the trades though? Because we let go, we jettisoned, and I think a lot of it was based on the whole sexual assault charges. With Terrence Ross II, we shipped him off to Sacramento Kings for a second round pick, which should be in the 40s, the 30s, 40s. We shipped off Matt Thomas, sharpshooter, to the Jazz for same thing. Then we shipped off our guy Norm Powell to the Blazers, the Portland Trail Blazers, for Trent Jr., Gary Trent Jr., and for Gary Hood. 2 for 1, basically. What do you think of the actual trade of Norm Powell to Portland?
I want him back. Seriously, we haven't done that much. We haven't gained much. We really think about it. When you see how lazy we play, we don't have a center. So if we weren't getting a center, we should have just held on to Norman, because in a game like today, Norman would have been the one positive guy pulling us back to a possible win.
But Michael, where are we going with this season anyway, though? We will get, at the very most, I think, second round and then kicked off. We're not going to beat the Brooklyn Nets. We're not going to beat the Philadelphia 76ers. And we're definitely not going to beat a number, Miami, maybe even Boston, tell you the truth.
I would like to beat them at least 2 or 3 times. we gotta do a good showing of ourselves.
Robert,
we gotta play like we don't expect to win.
Robert, are you just like a lot of Raptors fans who are so desperate? So, for instance, in talking to Michael over the last number of weeks, for instance, Hassan Whiteside came up. We should get Hassan. Then
no. I never went
about, hey, we should get JaVale McGee. And then Drummond came up. We should get Drummond. Then LaMarcus came up. We should get LaMarcus. Every center that comes up on the market, we sort of want to salivate over. Robert, how desperate are you? And do you just want to take any big lumbering center, or do you have to?
We have a big lumbering center already.
How desperate are you? How desperate are you?
I love how you say it. How desperate am I? Right? You're not asking me if I am.
No, I know you're desperate because I am. How desperate are you, Robert?
Of the day.
Michael, I can't even deny not being desperate. But when you're a Raptors fan, you need some big names to come to Toronto to lure other big names here. So obviously we wanted to try getting a big name here, because now look at us. We're back in we're back 15 years ago, where we have good pieces, but we're wondering if we'll be able to keep any of them anymore, right? Without a big name coming.
I'm waiting to see what Masai is gonna do. You know, he gotta do something. There's gotta be something else. Got to drop. Another shoe got to drop. This is crazy.
And
complete.
Robert, I disagree with you though, right? Because I think that different than the few years ago, back in the days when the Raptors would be up 20 points and it's 3 minutes to go in the fourth, and we're wondering how are they going to fuck it up tonight and lose.
Well, tonight we knew they weren't coming back.
Yes, but now we've invested $16-18 million in OG Anunoby, who's showing his dividends. We gave Fred $25 million. He's showing it. We gave him Max Siakam. He's showing it. And I think he's unfairly maligned. I'm a defender of Siakam. So we got those three. And then we got a fourth in that we got Gary Trent Jr. So all we need now for our starting lineup is a big-ass center. Then we work on the bench.
I think we need more than the center and like deeper in our bench, because last year we had a deep bench, and the year before definitely, since we went to the finals. But I don't know. I think we're gradually just losing it, type of thing. And the Pascal Siakam, Michael, do you agree with him with the Pascal Siakam? Like I think he needs a boost at this point. I'm still behind him, but
he's playing better than the rest of the team. I mean, he's always giving you something.
Absolutely. I disagree with you, Robert.
You need for Masai to do some work right now, man. I'm waiting on Masai.
Exactly. So Michael, Robert, there are two things me and Michael have been talking about for a while. I have been critical, and he's been critical of the moves that Masai has made over the last year or not made. Like, for instance, that trade with Harden, where Cavaliers got that dude Allen, that center Allen, for cheap. There are a lot of cheap dudes who've been moved over the wire that we could have used, either in the center, on the wing, and so on. Also, Robert, I think that there's some malaise happening internally where Coach, I call him Night Nurse Nick. Night Nurse Nick. Michael agrees with me partially. I don't know how much you'll defend me in this, is because I think that Night Nurse Nick has lost the team. He's lost the room.
You know what? Like, I never thought about it, but yeah, I would tend to agree with that to a certain extent, right?
Well, what makes you think that, though?
Well, because I'm sensing something's amiss backstage.
Absolutely. Me too. Right? Me too. I can't put my finger on it, but I think that something is definitely WRONG. You too think so, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
They could just be mourning the loss of...
It goes beyond, Michael, it goes beyond mourning the loss of
Norm. Nah, it goes. That's a huge loss, man. That's a huge loss. They look just like they're just wandering, you know. Hope it doesn't last for 40 days or something like that. But
Michael, though, doesn't that then reflect on the coach? Because you should be able to bring some folks in to make it right. Call a timeout like Popovich was, because, for instance, we modeled ourselves on the Suns. We're supposed to be the Suns North. The Spurs North, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason we have coaches, right?
But
the coach is supposed to control. The coach has to be able to know what strings he needs to pull in you to make you play better. He's the one who has to motivate.
Hold on. We've lost a lot of coaches to, for instance, we lost an assistant coach to head coach at Indiana. We lost a second one, head coach to the Timberwolves. So we've actually lost some key personnel at the same time, right? And we've had the injuries going in and out and on. So, Robert, I'll ask you.
Even at the beginning of the season, how many games did we lose? About 8 straight. So whatever's been amiss, like, started at the beginning of the season. We started getting a lot better, because I think we went from 15th or 13th to 6th.
Yeah.
in a string of wins.
And then back down to 12.
Yeah. Like right back down to 12 with no end in sight. But at least we're not the Golden State Warriors. Everything's fine.
Dig. So tell me though, Robert, I think there's something amiss with the coaching that Night Nurse Nick, I loved him. And then all of a sudden he started to turn into a Neo Casey, where he started to be really conservative for me.
Yeah.
And in a lot of these games, particularly with that 10-point quarter, the third quarter, last game against the Portland Trailblazers, that is on the coach. Robert, if you got your team scoring only 10 points, wasn't there something you can do somewhere along the line to make it different?
Oh yeah, and there's a marked difference because when in his first year he was changing it up all the time.
Absolutely.
And he had people. He was like having some other teams like in circles and stuff like that.
Chunk it out and pull it.
Yeah, doing high school techniques on pro basketball players because it was almost like a rope-a-dope type of thing that you wouldn't expect, or a right hand lead in boxing. Right? No one's expecting you to lead with the right hand. A boxing professional doesn't expect that. So that's what Muhammad Ali did with George Foreman the first few rounds, right? So Nick Nurse doing that, I can't. What was it? What was that technique called again?
Boxing one.
Sorry,
the boxing one, or junk it up too.
Yeah, that was like the equivalent of the right hand lead, right? And
so what happened? What happened though? Because
I really don't know.
All worked, and then all of a sudden he seemed to just started going conservative.
Maybe he's gotten too comfortable now. He's gotten comfortable, he's settled into that role. When you become like a coach of the year right off the bat, the way he did, I mean, it's kind of hard to keep that intensity up. And he's gotten too comfortable, it seems, because we're not seeing that dynamic decisions he used to make being made now,
Yeah.
He's so much more active as a coach, and he seems to be less so now. But it's all the coach is the one responsible for the team, so it's all on him, man.
Yeah, but Michael, do you think that he's hesitant to do that because of the players that he has now don't have the skills to back up?
Oh no, he has great skilled players. Very good. Raptors have a good skilled bench. They have to bring it together.
Michael.
They're
go through the names.
Players,
Michael, I want you to get away with that. Talk to me about Watanabe. Talk to me about Bembry. Talk to me about Watson Jr. Talk to me about Boucher. Talk to me about Baines. Talk to me about the cats coming off of the bench. Stanley Johnson. You can't just say we got a bench. Who are you talking about?
All those cats.
No.
The coach has to have the chemistry.
Give me a gradation.
Those guys practice together, man.
Give me a gradation. Who do you play when is what I'm saying. Because the coach, before Watson and Bambry went recently on COVID-19 related protocols, so they're out. But the coach had said clearly, Night Nurse Nick said he was going for Malachi and for Watson Jr. Remember, he's trying out a whole bunch of people and so on for a while.
Let me tell you something. I like Stanley Johnson.
Yes.
So, I like Stanley Johnson. When he gets going, he looks like he could be a real steady piece for the Raptors.
So the coach seems to be going for Watson, Flynn, Bambry, and Johnson. So it means that Watanabe isn't going to get much play, and whoever else I'm not remembering.
Well, he got some play tonight. He got a putback steal. He's just an energy guy. It's gonna be another year before he really gets his chance with the Raptors. Seriously, right? So Stanley Johnson, we have Boucher. I would like to see Baines coming off the bench, but we need a center for that. That's it, man. Boucher, Stanley Johnson, Aaron Baines. We don't need much beyond that.
Hold on, you didn't mention Hood.
Oh, yeah, Hood and
Hood seems to me the second
Hood.
best player on the bench right
Hood
now.
and Gary. Hood and Gary. So we have a pretty good core. The coach though has to coach it. He needs to bring these guys together, man. He needs to simplify the offense.
Robert, you can say that Michael Sam is talking pure bull. who do you identify given the bench? We're talking about Boucher is sacrosanct. He's like number 6 off of the bench, no doubt.
Yeah.
And we're faced with Baines,
Rodney Hood. After him, I would say Rodney Hood.
Bambry, Watson, Flynn. Let's leave it, and Johnson. Let's leave it at that. Of those 6, can you name me 4 that you think of those 6 that you would go as your bench mob? Because remember, we were famous for having a bench mob. A lot of our starters came through our bench mob over the years. What is our bench mob right now, brother?
Well, the thing is, what I hear from Michael is more hope than it is.
Keep our hope alive. Keep our hope alive.
Yeah, like I love the fact that he's hopeful, right? But Michael, comparable to other benches around the league, like these guys are not like how comparable are they though?
Scant.
You know what? We've had over the years we've been known for having a pretty good bench.
Yes.
And they're trying to build a pretty good bench now. You know, Stanley Johnson, he could come off and play some fantastic games for you. Boucher, you know what he can do. Rodney Hood, he can get hot and hit a bunch of trees.
Bambry
is a hustle guy. He's not a person that you're going to rely on to score points, but he's going to do all the intangible.
So what's the problem? Is it the coach then is not utilizing his bench properly? Because I think that there's a problem with the coach in terms of how he allocates. For instance,
it's all on the coach. I said that it's all on the coach.
Absolutely. Robert, are you agreeing with me and Michael that there is a problem in Raptorland that somehow Night Nurse Nick has lost the room?
Yeah, like we said before, I think he's lost the room, but partially the momentum. Like Michael was saying, that you win a championship straight out the gate, and then you have to try following it up somehow.
Dig.
So I think that like the momentum of the championship win has waned, right? So consequently, the same way that we always just think that they can come back no matter how down they are, I think that was something that was generated out of the fact that we're champions, right? But now, since half of the team that was there before is gone, right? And you're left with guys who never won that championship. You're just left with the name, the Toronto Raptors, and also they're the only team that's playing in the United States, not on their home ground, right? Yeah. So I wonder how much that also influences you, because I hear that some of the fans, when they're playing in their home,
are booing them.
Yeah, exactly, are booing them, right? So that can't be helpful at all.
Well, here's another thing for you, Mike, Robert, before I get to Michael, is that, okay, how much of that is reflective of coaching in terms of substitution patterns? And in terms of, for instance, a number of things that infuriate me, and I've lost about 10 years of my life expectancy from the beginning.
Some of your bill.
I'm telling you, I'm like, RIP Clifton. I'm like, I'm not ready yet. Half of those are Raptors years.
Exactly.
So, for instance, here's what infuriates me: a number of things, Robert, Michael. We start out sluggish. We love to be down by 12 and so on before we start to really start moving. Mm. Then third quarters, going back centuries, it seems like we mess up on the third quarters from way back to the days of dudes. I don't even want to call their names. because I'll get a heart attack.
Yeah.
Robert, and then the Raptors will make a furious comeback in the fourth to get within 4. Mind you, they've been down for 30 points for the whole game, and they end up right there at the end of the game down by 4, which gives people looking at the stats a problematic interpretation.
Yeah.
I say, Robert, is that like Michael, that the coach fucks up a lot of times where that he doesn't call, he defers to players. I saw a game a couple of games ago where Kyle Lowry called a timeout and then brushed off Night Nurse Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in the Cleveland game, maybe.
Yeah.
And he's done that a couple of times. So I wasn't surprised, for instance, when that whole fracas and kerfuffle, when Siakam called him all kinds of motherfuckers, it seemed like. I mean,
I didn't think that Siakam had it in him, really.
Exactly. So it seems to me, Robert, that something is wrong in the way the coach is playing, not just his starters, but his bench. And it seems to me that he is flummoxed and flabbergasted because he's using too many players to see how they're going. For instance, there are like 2 weeks where Bambury didn't even play. Watson didn't even play. Then he played Watson, and then he played Flynn, and then Johnson didn't get any play. Watanabe, we haven't seen Watanabe for a while, who's a dude I think can be played. So I think that for some reason, Night Nurse Nick, our coach, seems to be flummoxed.
Yeah, because didn't he play a lot of people off the bench?
Yes, he did. He's been playing like 11 guys for weeks now and hasn't settled on anybody.
Yeah.
Except he said he identified Flynn and Watson. Michael, what do you think about the coach in terms of his flabbergasting and gallivanting and moving off over like he's totally flabbergasted?
I want to see him start doing a masterful job, man. I need to see some coach. I want to see some basketball. I like to win. I don't like to be on a losing team. The coach needs to start coaching, taking more advice from the assistant coaches. Maybe everybody on the Raptors need to speak up a bit more. You know,
So
we have assistant coaches for a reason.
Michael, what would you advise them? Because you got some opinions. You've played collegiate sports across the country. You're a basketball legend, at least in my mind. You've been on teams. You've seen where you're down, you're sad, you get up and so on. What is the emphasis then? What is the basis then of, and what's the effectiveness of a coach making a definitive move where the rest of the team come on board? Because like you, I believe that Night Nurse Nick, our coach of the Raptors, has lost the team, really. What does he have to do to regain the confidence of the team in terms of empowering, especially the bench? Because look, we got Lowry. We can get him for the next 2 years at $25 million a year. We got Siakam. We got OG. We got Fred VanVleet, and we got my man from Portland recently, Gary Trent Jr. All we need now is a center to corroborate those dudes because they're all in the late 20s and in terms of thing. So we got like a 3-4 year window. What does the coach got to do then? Because we've seen with big teams, like you name it, the Lakers, they got a terrible bench. The Clippers, well, they got a terrible lineup, and they also have a terrible bench. The Nets, terrible bench. When you set up a big team, your bench, how can we get, as the Raptors did a few years ago, get our bench mob together? And is this what then might be happening with Messiah and them in terms of their movements? And this is for you, Robert. We got 10 minutes to go, which usually turns up to be about 5 minutes. But what do we have to do then, Robert, in terms of solidifying, getting one stud center, like say Rashawn Holmes, Sacramento, or my man in who wants to get out Atlanta, or even if you can pipe dream it to say my man Allen in with the Cavaliers. Who do we have to get as a service center, and what do we have to do, Robert, off season wise for next season?
Yeah, like I think you kind of mentioned of keeping the core guys, and a combination of both what you and Michael say. Like Michael's identified like a lot of good players on the bench that can possibly grow into something, right? And we just have to roll the dice and try getting a center that would hopefully, provide like a powerful essence in the middle that can galvanize the whole team again. And that's where we're always on the brink of that for the last 2 or 3 ever since we won the championship. But like you said, the next 2-3 years are crucial because we've already got some of these guys locked into contracts for the next 2 years. If we keep Kyle Lowry for another 2 years, even better, because he did say that he wanted to retire a Raptor. So possibly something's in the works that we don't know about, hopefully, right? So we'll just have to see how things go in the next two years, if not next year for sure, because they have a lot because Masai has been keeping a lot of cap space available, right?
Yeah, and Masai ain't even signed yet. But let me ask you about centers, because we've been salivating, me and Michael and the others who've guested on this podcast. We've been salivating every time a center comes up. So, for instance, we were salivating with Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins. We were like, let's get Boogie. And then, okay, we say, well, maybe not. Then we're like, let's get Javon McGee. Nah. And then Hassan Whiteside. Let's get the Hassan. And then Drummond comes up out of Cleveland. Let's get Drummond. And then LaMarcus comes up. Let's get Marcus. So every center now. And now, you know who we're salivating about? The Canadian dude from Mississauga, Kelly Olynyk. Mm-hmm. What do you think about Kelly Olynyk?
He's not a starting center. He's a very good player. We still need a center. He doesn't solve the problems that we have.
So where do you doesn't matter. Who else on the buyout market? We were supposed to go after Jian Jing, who is a close friend of Masai. He just got cut by Memphis, and he signed with the Jazz. And the talk was that he is tight with Masai through Masai Ujiri, the Raptors head honcho, through the Basketball of Africa stuff and so on. But that didn't happen. Similarly with some of the other players we hear. But again, so far, none of these buyout candidates look like they want to choose Toronto.
Well, you see what's going on.
What's going on?
You want to go to those centers in the buyout market. They want to go someplace where they feel they could have a chance to win.
You mean like Malone and Gary Payton going to the Lakers, trying to get their championship when the Pistons
that's like
bust their ass?
Why do you think Drummond's at the Lakers right now? That's why Drummond chose the Lakers.
Well, why do you think LaMarcus? Why do you think LaMarcus is with the Nets?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are trying to win. I mean, I wouldn't have. If I was there, I wouldn't be going to the Raptors.
But hold on. Why about Georgie Jing going to the Spurs instead of to the Raptors? I don't understand that. I can understand those two guys you mentioned in terms of the Nets and the Lakers, but for you to decide you're going to the Spurs, come on, baby.
Nothing happening there.
Mike, Robert, what's going on? Has Ujiri lost some of his genie shine? Come on, brother. Be for real. Come on. Don't give me your secondary answer. Give me your first answer. Has Ujiri Masai lost his in Ujiri re-sign?
I think so. I think some of it has been lost, but I think depending on what happens next year. But unfortunately, like you said, he needs to sign on again next year, right? Because for his contract. But I don't know. We have to do something next year for sure.
Wow.
We can do
Robert,
it this year.
Robert,
Well,
Robert.
this is already done, man. It's like,
wow, Robert, Michael, you two seem even more pessimistic than me because y'all are holding your hands, smashing your hands, and doing all kind of emojis about what will happen next.
you already have like nicknames lined up for these guys from top to bottom. At least me and Michael are trying to be hopeful about the situation, right?
Michael, do you concur with that jive that Robert just said?
Listen, the Raptors have built a team through trades, through the draft. They've built through the draft, and the G League has been very good to us. Let's hope we get some good trades through those lines. As far as people wanting to come to Toronto to play, I would take Whiteside now.
Hey,
he got something to prove. We need someone who has something to prove,
Well, what about Canadian? I thought you'd go for the Kelly Olynyk, the Toronto Canadian guy.
Okay, we know, you and I know that Kelly Olynyk can't come and become this great center we need. He will not fill the void we're looking to be filled. So it doesn't make any sense. He'd be taking time from somebody else who we could be developing. Right? That's how I look at that.
Well, I'd like to thank my man, Michael Solomon, basketball legend in my mind, here in Canada. I'm Clifton Joseph. This is the Old Heads talking basketball. Tonight, our special guest was Robert Small, who looms large in terms of the legacy. Please, Robert, if you will, can you plug what you got going on with your legacy 25th anniversary or something?
Yeah, well, next year is going to be my 28th anniversary. I have a few things going on right now. I'm creating 3 different paintings all at the same time. One of them is going to be in the new Black Excellence that the Toronto School Board is creating for Black students. So I'm really excited about that. But stay tuned. I'll show them to you guys sometime.
How can people get to you?
You can come on our website at www.thelegacyposter.com.
And Michael Solomon, of course, you got your Solomonic website. You got your own paintings and stuff going and so on. Give us your plug, boo.
SolomonArtStudio.com. Fashion, I put my art into the fashion industry. So my art is enhancing fashion.
And I'm Dub Sport Large Clifton Joseph, and you can reach me. I'm selling all kind of things. I'm selling smoke. I'm selling air. I'm selling wind. And you can get me at blah, 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 lamb's bread, etc. at that wind. So check me out.
How much are you selling the wind per pound and everything?
For like 0.000 plus lots of dollars. Please, if you will, check us out. This is the Eglinton West Pop-Up Podcast, Old Heads Edition. I've had my special guest, Michael Solomon, is there with me all the time, and we had a special guest tonight. My man, Robert Small from the Legacy Posters. You can get him at legacy.com. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get it going on. Hey, please, before you view, watch, share, subscribe, and of course, coming soon to you, donate. All right. Michael Solomon, as we say, thank you for staying this time with us. The Raptors lost this one. They're down like 11 below 500. Michael, and for this podcast, we are
out of here.
We're out of here. Thank you so much.